This video is about how the state and its network have created a very interesting case, yet their case falls short of crazy. First of all, let's consider the subject matter. If it is the type of subject matter that makes millions of people protest, in different points of the country, get very angry, it is socially normative for someone to get angry about these things. Okay. Now, if it is more well thought out, and it's more precise about the points that really irk people, that really make people angry, obviously my behavior is quite admirable and shows a large degree of self-discipline, sound judgment, a sound mind, and self-control. Second point, how many videos do we have as evidence? We have a ton of videos. We have about 6,000 videos. My last channel, there's 1,800 videos on my last channel, according to the last time I checked. Okay, I didn't realize I made that many. It said 1.8K. Okay, I'm assuming that's what it was referring to. All right, a lot of them are picture videos, and their points are well made, even if the pictures are edited. Now, speaking of that, can we assume that this guy's crazy about them editing pictures and fuming them and drugging them? Well, first of all, his argument makes sense, okay? There's a lot of political groups out there, a lot of hacker groups, anonymous, etc. A lot of racist groups, 1,000 hate groups. Okay, so a lot of people have the motive, and they've been doing these things all the time. It's like you live in California, you say gang members are attacking you, and racist, there's a bunch of racist white people that don't like gang members and associate all black people with gang members or whatever. This makes sense, and if someone complains that it's happening to them, we're inclined to believe them. What takes me over the top is that there's 20 witnesses. Now, sometimes I refer in the third person for the sake of, articulation and analysis. Okay, anyway, that I have over 20 witnesses on record, and I had the presence of mind to put them on my channel, okay, to record the interview. They know better about what's going on than my family. Do you see my family here? No, they don't watch my videos. They haven't watched my videos. They just hear me yelling at times, and they say, take your medicine. They don't care about what it's about. Okay, that's very important. One of the persons I interviewed knew me for 14 years at the time. Okay, now it's more, and I haven't talked to them for a while, mind you. And they said I'm the most normal person they know. And if you listen to how they said it, you know that I didn't put them up to it. You know they're not that smart to be an actor in terms of, they're smart in some ways, but not in that particular way. Okay, they said, what? You're the most normal person I know, or however the fuck they said it. Okay, you know what I'm saying? It was something to that effect, obviously female voice, and you could tell I was on the phone, and you could hear them talking through the phone, so I didn't fake it. All right. So one of also was an experiment. I felt that they were drugging some soda pop in my fridge. I waited. I timed it. Boom. I went out this person. I said, hey, I kept these soda pops. I tucked them away in a safe place. I brought them to the hotel, and I said, try them. Okay, they described, without knowing my symptoms, they described the same symptoms around the same amount of time after drinking the soda pop. What are the odds that this is a coincidence? And you can hear it in their voice, okay? But they didn't know which ones were drugged, okay, which ones I felt were drugged, and they didn't know what the symptoms were. And they picked out which ones were drugged, and they described the symptoms, and you could hear it in their voice. This, to me, is pretty much conclusive evidence that something is going on. Now listen carefully. It's not conclusive evidence that those cans were drugged, but it is conclusive evidence that they're either drugged or there's some kind of technology that alters the mind state. So they might have said, hey, they might have been watching and said, wait till we use some kind of frequency or whatever, because there's all kinds of technology. It's 2021, not 1776. Okay, there's plenty of technology, plenty of James Bond, CIA type bullshit to fucking fuck with people. All right, number 4. We must also consider that the Klan has a less racist history than psychiatrists, and by far. Look at the history of Soviet psychiatrists, of Nazi psychiatrists, of psychiatrists in America labeling black people mentally ill if they wanted to run away from the plantation, called drapetomania. Okay? If you look at the history of Ionia State Hospital, and there's a lot of people that talk about this. I believe Wikipedia has an article I used to cite that has sources, and it says, boom, this author said this, and so on and so forth. And There's also an article about the political abuse of psychiatry. So, is racial, political, social, and economic abuse of psychiatry was pervasive. And psychiatrists themselves, Dr. Colin Ross, wrote about the CIA doctors. He went over the 15,000 plus documents of MK Ultra and said how it was pervasive in the profession for them to kind of collaborate with the government and the CIA especially, and to take funding from groups like the Scottish Rite. It's in his book. It's a part of the documents. They helped fund MK Ultra. Okay, and of course MK Ultra, for whatever reason, we'll say, is cult Rams scrambled. And there you had the Satanist Michael Aquino, who was part of these PSYOP activities right there in San Francisco, some 45 minutes to an hour away from where I'm standing right now. Not to mention the history of COINTELPRO and so on and so forth. Everything lines up. This isn't some crazy conspiracy theory. These are facts. And if you don't see the difference between this video and someone talking about aliens or Atlantis or some, elite sacrifices they can't prove, then you're severely mentally ill or something. All right. Number 5. America declared during George Bush's campaign that they're going to wage a war on terror, and they're going to reinforce their cultural values. They said we got to defend our values. Well, what are their cultural values? It's not a capitalist country that people complain that the government is corrupt. Last I checked, black people are about 13% of America, and they own less than 1/2 of 1% of the capital. So part of their cultural values is when you mix all these things together, black people are dirt poor, and they're oppressed in a corrupt nation, and they're disproportionately oppressed, and they're disenfranchised to a larger degree than pretty much every other group. Okay? That's part of their cultural values. So part of their cultural values is to wage war on people like me who challenge that narrative, who say the culture is not good enough and demands more morality. So they're waging war on morality to maintain the level of immorality that favors rich people and various groups of people. This is a no-brain conclusion. I'm sure we can all agree. Now, verse number 6, this is where it gets tricky. In my videos, we see me change my look. I didn't always have glasses. My eyes weren't always messed up. I didn't always talk this way. I didn't always wear these sweaters because they're doing things to my clothes. This is a story for another day. Okay? I didn't always have this kind of flabby, kind of out of shape. I wasn't always out of shape. I put a special emphasis on being in shape. Okay? What we see is different presentation styles emerge. And there's a lot of explanations that are more logical than a split personality disorder or schizophrenia. One is simply different personalities for different things. For example, if you're in school, you're like, hey, you're playing basketball, da, da, da. Hey, man, you know what I'm saying? The teacher comes and goes, huh? Oh, no, we were just playing basketball, right? What happened? A different topic came, a different circumstance, a different scenario came, and the person changed their presentation, their oratory style, their articulation, their form of communication, their style of communication. Sometimes we see a black thug kind of communication. I grew up with a lot of black thugs and kind of, hustlers, and I had a whole plethora, a whole myriad of different types of friends that I hung out with. Okay, so sometimes, like, I'm saying, this is how it goes down, you feel me? Where they abuse us and they don't care. It's also seems to be more effective at times, at least, to explain things that way, and that's a big part of it as well. We also see the intense, angry kind of guy. When I kind of look at the thing and I go, and I start, that's the brain is starting to fire away because I've been talking about a topic for a while in a certain way, and we see a logical kind of increase. When someone's logically angry in a socially normative way, we see that gradual increase when they're talking about something that really angers them, and sometimes they start yelling. That's normal. Okay. We also see a sort of, sometimes this one's very suspicious, and I do think that it has to do with them changing the sound in the phone, and it has to do with them poisoning me. We'll get to that later. A kind of gay guy giving a PowerPoint presentation. We see kind of mannerisms, like gay-like mannerisms, and a gay-like voice, and even a lisp at times. Now, this one I believe they're targeting sections of the brain to mimic a gay person's brain with drugs. Could be, there's a lot of explanations for it. One thing for sure, I have never had homosexual inclinations. Never in my life have I wanted to have gay sex with a guy, okay? Not in my entire life, okay? It simply doesn't occur. All right. Also in the past, we saw the handsome martial arts. I used to make movements like this in a more defined way because my muscle definition, my brain-body connection was stronger. Think like a weak battery in a car versus a potent, brand new battery in a car, a powerful battery that has the car functioning in an optimal way. You know, my brain is like that powerful battery. It's the most powerful battery there ever was. And martial arts proves that point. Okay, mental power, mental prowess. You understand me? All right. Number 7. Psychiatrists don't all agree about what is best for the patient and for society. Like, you know, they don't all vote for the same politicians. So they don't all know what to think about me. And I'll end this one with number 8. When we factor in everything with statistics and logic and clever observations of the behavior, wise observations, we get about a 5 to 10% chance at most. This is on the high end of me lashing out and hurting anybody we consider the criminal record. No criminal record, almost 40 years old, okay? Hung out with gang members, for goodness sake, and thugs, and I still, no criminal record, no violent history, okay? You know, other than a brief kind of shuffles, you know, kind of struggle with my older brother. In 40 years, just one of them, okay, is admirable, okay? And I didn't go to jail for it because it's what you'd expect kind of thing. Okay, now, compare that to about 1 in 3 black males between the ages of something like 18 and 45 or 25 and 45 is going to go to jail at some point in their lives. So why are you going to be on all black people? No, that's insane. Are you going to be on gang members? We can cite certain characteristics that make them more likely to commit a crime. Okay, we can see numbers of 50%, 60%. Okay, are you going to run psyops on them? Are you going to zoom in on them? No. Okay, you look at Chicago's crime rate. You know, they're wiping out. It's like a Holocaust in Chicago, and they're not lifting a finger to do it. They're not singling out the most violent of them. Okay, and if they started now, whoopee, why didn't you do it before when you were running psyops on me before? Okay, this is selective law enforcement. It's the political abuse of law enforcement, the political abuse of psychiatry, the political abuse of psychological operations.